Mary, are you ready?
I am.
We are on.
We're on. Okay, today is January 15th, 2025. Meeting is now open at 4 p.m. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the county boardroom. Attending today, Jonathan Davidson, George Forrest, Randy Bennett, and Melissa Kimmerling. Absent, Diane Bruce. Also attending is Carrie Plummer-Galecki, Board Secretary, Kayla Starbuck from the County Attorney's Office, and myself, Mary Davis, HR Director. In November of this year, we're going to move the agenda items. Item 4 will be first.
It'll be right after public comments.
Right after the public comments. I'm sorry, Carrie, has anyone contacted you regarding to speak today at the open comment section?
No, they have not.
Okay. Now we're going to revise this agenda a little bit. We're going to move up item number 4. In November, we advised our employee advisory group that George Forrest had agreed to be reappointed to the Personnel Policy Board to represent the classified employees. His term would be 1/1 of 25 through 12/31 of 2029. With that being said, as of November 2025, the Employee Advisory Group chose to keep George Forrest on the Personnel Policy Board to represent the classified employees. Do we have a motion? We need a motion to
approve his appointment.
appoint to reappoint George
I move
Forrest.
to
I was starting to
approve
worry, guys.
George Forrest's appointment to the Personnel Policy Review Board.
I second that motion.
We have a motion by Randy Bennett and seconded by Jonathan Davidson to reappoint George Forrest to the as the classified employee representative to the Personnel Policy Board.
On this, I need to abstain.
Yeah, George needs to abstain, doesn't he?
3, 4, 1 abstain, 1 absent, motion carries.
What? The
Congratulations,
voting
George.
results, it appears that the voting results were in error. I voted in favor and he abstained and had our
I
names
have
switched.
George, oh, hang on. Yours is, I've marked.
George, you abstained. Jonathan, you voted in favor.
Yeah.
Yes,
Correct?
ma'am.
Correct? Okay.
I put the dots in the wrong spot.
Thank you for
Oh, you know,
correcting.
you know where the problem is? Our seats were mixed up.
No, sorry.
Yeah, their seats are mixed up. We just switched the nameplates again.
Or we can just change seats. It doesn't
We
matter.
could.
Okay.
Excellent.
I know.
The votes still are 3, 4, 1 abstain, 1 absent. It still carries.
I know George Forrest. George Forrest is a
We'll
friend.
just blame Carrie.
I'm no George Forrest.
Oh, I can see it's going to be one of those afternoons.
One of those days.
Okay. Congratulations, George.
Thank you.
You're reappointed.
Okay, item number 2 is the election of chairperson. If only one nomination for chair, voting will occur electronically. If more than one nomination, voting will occur by paper ballot. Once a new chairperson is elected, they will take over for the remainder of this meeting. Do we have a nomination for a chairperson?
I nominate Melissa Kimmerling for chairperson.
Second.
Randy Bennett makes a motion for Melissa Kimmerling,
Second.
with George Forrest seconding that motion. Do we have any other nominations for a chairperson? If no other nominations for a chairperson, please vote.
Three, four, 1 abstained, 1 absent, motion carries.
Thank you. Congratulations, Melissa.
Now, do you get to take her down the hammer?
She can have this now.
Oh, well,
Melissa, what Vicky gave you is what we call the cheat sheet agenda, so it's the, how you can follow
okay.
through on the rest of the.
You're going to have to help me through this first time,
We
but
can help you.
I might be aggressive with this little guy here. This is exciting. Thank you. All right, so I take over for you.
Go to item number 3.
Okay, so item number 3 is appointment of 2025 vice chairperson. Let me see here. If only one nomination for vice chair, voting will occur electronically. If more than one nomination, voting will occur by paper ballot. Do we have a nomination for vice chairperson?
I do. I nominate Diane Bruce.
She's not here.
Okay, and your name again? Are you Randy? That's right. Randy Bennett has nominated Diane Bruce for vice chairperson.
Second.
Do we have a second? Okay, great. George Forrest has seconded the motion. Do we have any other nominations for vice chairperson? All right, make a motion to vote for chair then.
Four for Diane Bruce and 1 absent, motion carries.
Okay. Now we're going to approval of the minutes. Is that the next item then, item 5? Correct? Okay. All right, so the next item is to approve the minutes of the November 20th, 2024 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, we've got a motion by Jonathan Davidson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy Bennett.
I'll second.
Wonderful. All right, let's vote on the minutes.
Four votes to approve the minutes, 1 absent, motion carries.
Okay. Moving on to item 6 on the agenda, to discuss and make recommendations on revisions to personnel rules and regulations, Rule 2, County Employment, Regulation 1, Hiring Process. Mary Davis, HR Director, will share with us now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Rule 2 of County Employment currently has 5 different regulations. Regulation 1 deals with the selection process. 2 are employment lists. 3 was reserved for future use. Regulation 4 discussed background checks, pre and post-employment screens. And Regulation 5 dealt with job offers, employment conditions, and rehires. This revision combines these 5 regulations into one policy to create a hiring process that outlines the process from the initial job posting to the candidate's hiring. This policy has been streamlined and has been reviewed by both the management and the employee advisory groups and adheres to the Nebraska County Civil Service Act. You know, just a summary of the revisions, just to kind of give you an idea, it's because it's been a while since we've reviewed this policy. So I'm just going to kind of go section by section and just kind of outline some of the changes. So Section 1 of this policy deals with a request for personnel. So every elected official and department head determines when there's a vacancy in their office, and they'll designate what they call a hiring authority to work with human resources to get that job posted and to go through that hiring process. Currently, when we post vacancies are posted according to policy. They're to be posted for 5 days internally. If we don't receive any candidates or someone is not qualified, then we post 7 days externally, a minimum of 7 days, okay? However, the department head elected official can choose to bypass the 5-day requirement and just post 7 days, and then internal candidates will get preference, right? This new revised language, we're going to post for 7 days. I'm sorry, we're going to post for a minimum of 7 days. Some positions, it all depends on what we're hiring for. Some positions we might have to have open for 30 days. If you're hiring an upper level management position, we might have to have that open longer. But HR will work with the hiring authority to determine the posting level. And the purpose of the Civil Service Act is to allow for competition when you hire candidates. So we will take a look at that. If it's a promotional opportunity, we might post just in the department. We might post countywide. If it's an entry-level position, we could post if it's an entry-level position, we could post externally, go external first to give us, the competition that we need. So the hiring manager, or the hiring authority, and HR will determine how we will post that job, whether external, county-wide only, or department only. And then just give it a standard 7 days across the board. This 5 days for this, 7 days for this, it just gets too confusing. Okay. And then the application process, all applicants, anybody that wants to apply for a job here at Sarpy County, they need to apply online through our application tracking system. If somebody has difficulty with that or needs assistance, they can contact HR and we'll help them through that process. Okay. And then Section 4 deals with the exam plan, which is really what our hiring process is. The word examination really comes from that County Civil Service Act, and it basically means hiring process and how we're going to handle that. So the first step is the applicant makes the initial application. HR screens those based on the minimum qualifications for the job. Those that pass that criteria are moved forward to the subject matter experts in that in that vacancies department. Those that do not meet those minimum qualifications are excluded. The subject matter experts, they'll take a look at those applications and they will rate them. They'll score them based on their knowledge, skills, and abilities, their qualifications, education, training, things of that nature. So they will score those apps. Those apps then come back to HR with a score where we will apply veterans preference points. And veterans preference points, they get 5% if they are eligible for veterans preference. If they're a spouse, if they're a veteran, or if they're a spouse. If they're a disabled veteran, they get 10% addition. We'll then add employee preference points. At the current time, that's rated at a 15%. Going through the advisory committees, we'd like to change that to 10% because 15% is quite a bit. Once those veterans and employee preference points are added, we then rank the candidates from high to low, and we create what we call an eligibility list. Prior to the job posting, HR will work with the departments to develop scoring criteria, right? That was kind of outlined in the policy, and you'll see that was all stricken. And the reason that was stricken is because there are times when it could be different depending on the job that we're looking at, So we will have some standards, and then HR will work with that hiring manager, create that standard list, and then once those applications get forwarded to the SME for review, that scoring mechanism will go with it. So they'll know exactly how they are to score those apps. So they're treating everybody fairly and consistently. Okay?
Mary, I have a question about that, just so I don't lose my train of thought. Is it the same person scoring every time to ensure inter-rater reliability? Because are you Likert scale scoring, scale of 1 to 5, something like that?
Sure. And so the hiring authority, when we are working with them to develop this process, they will designate who they want to score those apps.
The same person will score for this job that's open, same person will score each person.
Yes.
For fairness.
And typically, there'll be more than one person scoring.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3
Okay.
will score those apps. And then those scores will come in, they'll be averaged together,
Averaged,
and then
yes.
the list is put together.
But to clarify, that would be different department to department, the people scoring.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But
Maybe
not
job to
different
job as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though they're in the same department, 2 different jobs, 2 different people.
Yeah.
But you have the consistency of one person scoring
Yeah.
all
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I have a question with regards to the preferences. If you have an existing employee who's also a veteran, are they getting both?
They would get both.
They would get both. Okay. just wanted to
Well, I'm sorry, no. Existing employees, they only get the veteran's preference upon initial hire.
See, that doesn't say that in here, so you might want to put some language in there with that, because someone could think that they're going to get both the veteran's preference and the existing employee preference.
And that, I was going to ask a question about that too. Are applicants made aware of the cases in which they would either get preferential hire or not? Is it disclosed outside of internal processes?
Sure it is.
They are made aware.
Yeah.
Great.
In our application process, there's specific questions that ask about veterans' preference, and if an applicant is requesting veterans' preference. And if they are, then they have to submit their DD 214,
Okay.
and if it's a disability, then they have to prove that as well.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Mary, does the veterans point system pretty much looks like it's going to mirror what the federal law is, or is a federal program as far as the veterans preference points? Is it just going to pretty much mirror that?
I think it does. I'm not sure. I know that the 5% and the 10% was taken right out of state statute, but I believe that's what
I
feds
think
do
the
too.
state pretty much mirrored that.
Yeah, I do too. I think so. Yeah. Okay, so like I said, once we establish those veterans' preference, employee preference, then we'll create the eligibility list. The eligibility list will be ranked high to low based on points. And then the top 5 is what we call the referred list. So that referred list will go to the department for interview. They'll interview those 5 candidates. If there's not 5 available, we will send over those that are available. And they can either choose from that list. If they're unable to choose from the list, we'll give them the next 5, and so on until that list is exhausted. If for some reason they're not able to hire someone off of a list, we have the option to repost. That doesn't occur a whole lot, but sometimes it can happen, especially with those positions that are really hard to fill and we don't get a lot of applications. The eligibility list will remain active for 60 days or until it's exhausted, whichever occurs first. That might seem like a short window, and it is, typically, but in this labor market that we have, the labor market seems to have changed quite a bit over the last few years, and we're very lucky if we'll make it through 60 days, to be honest, to have people on that list still interested in the job. Yeah. As part of this exam plan or hiring process, we will also work with that hiring authority. Some departments have additional steps. For an example, 911, those applicants, they do what they call critical testing. So they have another testing mechanism. And so if we have another testing mechanism, that score goes into the mix as well. Okay?
That may be related to another question I had related to in the first introduction to this policy, the second part that was stricken, the human resources may develop the competitive examinations for positions. That was stricken. Has that been replaced in the hiring process when necessary, if there's a test? It's been replaced with that?
Yeah, it is.
Because it sounds like you're saying there still may be some situations in which position-specific examinations are part of that decision.
Yes. Yes, in section, which section that is, where it talks about, Section 4B, it talks about standardized entrance exams and other exams. And yes, HR, so if the department decides to move forward with, maybe they'll have a standardized entrance exam, HR will be involved in that process, helping with develop those tests, or the vendor, help choosing the vendor for those kinds of things.
And always with and without reasonable accommodation as per.
Absolutely.
Always, that's always disclosed with or without. Okay.
Absolutely.
That is referenced on page 7, by the way.
Page 7.
Yes.
Yes, I saw that somewhere, but wasn't sure if that was applicable to each piece.
Lost my place here for a minute. Okay, Section 5 identifies the reasons that applicants can be disqualified from the process. That was streamlined again. The section on eligibility for promotion and transfer, that whole section will be moved to the promotion and transfer policy that you'll probably see next month. The section on the examination rating process, that was removed and incorporated into this policy when we talk about the criteria that the hiring authority and the HR will develop. And again, we'll develop that criteria and send that out to those SMEs so that they know exactly how they're to score. And then just to let you know on that, we did talk to the advisory groups about that. They did have some recommendations on those, the rating system, if you will. So we will take that into account, and HR is working on developing that.
Great.
Section 6 is veterans preference. That just outlines, the 5%, 10% for veterans and spouses of veterans. So there are a few minor changes on that. Section 7 was the notification of exam results, or basically what the applicant status is in the hiring process. Once we've established that eligibility list, we'll notify the candidates of where they stand. And then Section 8 deals with offers of employment. That was moved from Regulation 5 and streamlined into this policy. Here at the county, offers are conditional based upon the passing of pre-employment screenings, which can vary based on the position that you're applying for. Mm-hmm. Section 9 is background checks and pre-employment screens. Again, that was moved from Regulation 4 and revised. And again, that's based upon the position that you're applying for. It talks about drug testing, medical exams, background checks, things of that nature. And then Section 10 deals with rehires. That was moved from Regulation 5 and revised. The current policy states that if an employee is rehired within 30 days, there will be no break in service. Over the last few years, we've had difficulty hiring people. It's gotten a lot better. But we thought this might be a good time to increase that. So we increased that to 180 days. Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
When we talked to the employees group and the management group, you didn't want that to be too long, but yet too short. Doesn't give
Right.
sometimes help. Sometimes we need help in getting some employees to come back to work if they decide that they'd like to return to the county. So anyway, if somebody leaves and comes back within 180 days, if they're rehired to the same job and the same department, their wages will be as close as possible to when they left. If they are hired to a different position, whether it's the same department or to a different department, current policy says it's going to be close to where they left, or treated like a transfer or a demotion or a promotion. Mm-hmm. And that's really has caused some issues. So if an employee leaves and comes back and they're working for the same department but a different position or a different department, then HR will work with the elected official and department head to determine wages that make sense for that office. And really, when we're looking at this, we're looking at pay equity and employees that have been in that job for continuously. You don't want people leapfrogging over each other because it just causes morale issues and other type of issues.
Right.
So, let's see. The appeal process is section 11. That was revised from 15 days down to 7 days because we need to get through these hiring processes as soon as we can. And
Mary,
record keeping,
Calendar days, business days?
calendar days.
Calendar days. Okay.
And we'll double check that too. And then record keeping, HR maintains all the records on the hiring process. And we will talk to the hiring authority, those offices, retrieve all the hiring notes, all the interview notes, all of that kind of thing. So they're located in one place. We upload those to our NeoGov system, and we set that retention schedule. So with that, do you have any other questions? Again, we took those 6 policies and narrowed them down to one policy. It's a little longer, but it's all in one spot. It's all in one place.
Any other discussion?
I have one, and on section 11, where it took the 15 days down to 7 calendar. Then the human resources director shall respond within 7. Does that need to state calendar days also? I mean, it's kind of obvious, but that's kind of things people will catch up on.
Yeah, because 7 business
exactly
days
right.
is longer than 7 calendar. You'd hate for somebody to misunderstand.
We'll make that change as well.
Any other discussion? Mary, were you contacted by anyone to request to make comments?
I was not.
You're not. Okay. No one requested to appear before the board and give their views on the proposed rule. Therefore, no comment period was provided. So am I doing this right, Carrie? Okay, great. So do we have a motion for this, this policy?
Move to approve the edits as submitted with the minor changes discussed in our conversation.
Okay, motion by Jonathan Davidson
I'll second that.
and second by Randy Bennett. Okay. So motion to approve with the discussed revisions to Rule 2, County Employment Regulation 1, hiring process with the changes that we discussed. All right, please vote.
Four votes in favor, 1 absent, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 7. Do we have anything else? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Judge Force, second by Randy Bennett. Please vote.
How to vote no?
You can't.
All right, meeting
no
adjourned
on
at 4.
4 votes in favor of adjourning, 1 absent, motion carries.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 4:29 PM, 1:15:25. And then, does anything need signed?
Nope.
Nope, okay. All right, fine. Okay.
Perfect.
This is lovely.